A fire plan is essentially what differentiates prescribed burning from any other kind of burning. So we all have this term, or everybody understands or seems to understand the term controlled burn. I hate that term, because to me, a controlled burn is a fire that is set in a metal can with a lid on it. Okay, that's controlled. In the real world, a controlled burn is somebody out burning junk. I got fire department guys here, and they know exactly what we're talking about. Somebody calls it, oh, I got a controlled burn, and then they get a call about 2 hours later or the next day, and the supposedly controlled burn is somewhere else, not where it's supposed to be at. Because they're out burning junk. They're burning brush piles, they're burning debris. It's just a junk burn. Prescribed burning is the application of fire to a given area under a specific set of conditions for a specific objective. And that's what we're doing. We're doing it for a reason. And we're doing it under conditions that we can control and maintain. And the big part of that is a planning process. And if you will look at it, and I've got tons of data from reports and stuff, that people with burn plans, you don't worry about those fires going off the reservation. They stay put because they're doing that. Because what it is, it's a thought process. And that's essentially what this plan is. It's going to help you plan and think through that process of what you're doing and how you're going to apply that fire. And it helps you state a prescription. And so that's where we get the word prescribed. So it's just like going to the doctor, going to the pharmacy, we get a prescription, we get a prescribed. But that prescription, a lot of times people think it's only weather. And that's not. That's just one part of that prescription. Prescriptions also include the area where we're going to be burning at, the management we need to do to that property before we burn, if we need to do anything for it, like cut cedars back from the edge of the line. So let's say we're burning this cross road and you got this big cedar right here, and we're going to be burning this with a northeast wind. So what if that cedar crowns out? What's it going to do? It's going to spit embers over here. And so we got a good fuel load over here. So what would be the smartest thing to do? Cut that thing down and let's drag it 300 feet back in the black and get it out of there. So that's part of our planning. So we're going to go around this whole edge of this burn unit. That's part of our prescription. We're going to cut every tree, every cedar within 100 foot of the edge and get them down and get them out of here so we don't have to deal with it. Grazing management may be a part of it. You know, we're going to make sure that we have proper stocking rates so we got adequate fuel, because we don't want to come in here a couple of months later after we plant all this and the cattle have already grazed all this down, and then our fire's not worth it. Also, it's going to be, like I said, the weather conditions we want to burn under, what wind direction, because that's going to be for smoke management, you know, as well as what is the easiest way that we can burn this so that we send this fire in a direction that's safe and that makes fire simple. Because what we have to do, and what you need to think about, is what I always try to tell everybody is we need to make fire simple. Fire is not rocket science. Because if it was, I would be doing something else, but I'm not smart enough. I can barely sell Tupperware. So I could not be a rocket scientist. So I'm dealing with fire. So I'm just way step down below that. So fire, make it simple. So if you've got directions where you can burn stuff to make it simpler, make it easier. So you've got a neighbor that grubs this place down that looks shorter than this right here. Man, that's the place. I want my fire going that way. Because where's it going to go if it's not going to go anywhere? Whereas if I had a neighbor that don't graze anything and it's got grass like that, I'm like, man, if it spots in there, it's going to be tougher to get that out and what we're going to do. So let's pick that. Also, smoke management. I don't want to send smoke back towards the highway. You know, I don't want to send smoke towards town. Or I've got neighbors that are older, got breathing problems. I've got to plan. What are my plans? So make it simple. You know, think about that planning. Then it's also going to be a part of what equipment do I need? What do I need to make this fire safer? Also, what kind of fire breaks? So we've got lease roads, we've got creeks, you know, or do we need to put a fire break in? We're going to disc, or we're going to doze. We're going to do something with the with the fire break. You know, what kind of fire breaks do we need? And do we need it all the way around, or do we got roads? You know, that's part of that planning process of how we're going to do that. And then we're going to think about equipment that we need. What do we need on site to make this burn safe, to make it easy to be able to do? And then we're going to think about, well, how many people do I need? You know, what do I need for people-wise to help out? Is it a burn that I could do by myself? Or is it a burn that I need I need to make sure I get about 10 folks here. That's going to make me feel comfortable and make me be able to do that. So that's a big part of it. And so that's what this planning process goes through with these fire plans. Now, this plan here is our prescribed burning plan. We worked this up and we simplified it down as best we could. The problem is, you look at it, it's about 7 pages, and people go, "Oh my gosh, it's 7 pages." I didn't write that much in school. I'm not going to write now. Relax. It's fill in the blank. You know, it's simple. It's simple stuff, asking questions. You know. And thinking through. And part of it, you look at it, so again, the first part of it, we always talk about, it's information about, you know, contact information, where you're burning at, a description of the burn unit, you know, what's out there? Have you really looked at what are you burning? You know, grass, is it cedars, is it post oak blackjack community, what are you burning? And then it goes into about directions to the nearest town. Because part of that goes into a thought process to think about it. It's just like when somebody asks you, where do you live at? Tell me how to get to your house. Well, you know how to get to your house, but can you give me specific directions to get to this if something was to happen? So let's say unfortunately somebody got hurt. Somebody stepped in a hole, broke a leg, and we need to get an ambulance here to stabilize and do that. Can you really tell them how to get there? Also, you're under stress. Can you tell people how to get to where you're going? And that's a big part of it. And just the thought about it, and you're going, well, I know how to get to my place. Right, we know that. But can you get somebody else there? And then we also have notification. There's a section in here about notification, and that's notifying neighbors. You know, again, it's a good neighbor policy to, again, let your neighbors know that you're burning. Again, just it solves a whole lot of issues, a whole lot of problems, letting people know that's going on. And I always recommend the best thing to do is let them know well in advance and say, hey, this spring or whenever we're going to be burning, and we'll call you the day before we're burning. Just give them a heads up. And then call them, let them know, hey, we're burning, tomorrow we're going to be burning. They're okay. Fire department, same way. But this also, what this plan does, it helps you make this list of who we're going to contact, let you gather the numbers that you're going to get, so that way the day that you actually do burn, you're not scrambling around, and also you have a checklist to go through and say, did I call everybody? Because we also have on here date, time, and the person that you notified. So that's the day that you call them, you fill that out, you just jot it down and say, we called the fire department, we talked to Bob, and it was at 7:30 this morning, and we write that down. One reason is because I've had it happen twice, and I know other people has had it happen, where I've had fire departments come out, they're all mad. You didn't call this fire in. I go, well, yeah, I talked to Bob at 7:30 this morning, and they go, oh, okay. Bob forgot to tell everybody, okay? You did your due diligence. You know, it's up to them to do theirs. So it's a deal to do that. Also, if you have any other issues, again, you know, the things might be, if you've got oil production on your property, the pumper who's operating that may want to know, let them know that, hey, we're going to be burning. They can shut stuff down, do whatever they need to do. That's their deal, what they're dealing with. But just different people to notify. But it gives you that list of what you're going through. And then again, we can go through, and all of this is real simple, again, to follow through. Any kind of pre-burn preparations that you'd think about doing, fuel conditions, then you go into your weather conditions that you want to burn under, and that's going to be your prescription that you're writing down about, you know, kind of what kind of temperatures, humidities, wind speeds, and wind directions that you want to see. And so within that, a lot of times people look at it and say, well, what about wind speeds? What do you want? What do you think is good burning conditions?
Depends on your fuel.
Depends on the fuel, okay. What else?
10 or less.
10 or less, 10 mile an hour or less? Can be, yeah. Do you want wind? Do you not want wind? Why do you want wind? Move the fire, and in a known direction, right? Okay, so a couple things. Texas state law. Texas state law, folks from Texas, states that winds have to be 6 miles an hour or greater in Texas to burn. So you have to have at least 6 to be legal in Texas. Oklahoma, there's nothing set in there. But what we typically recommend anywhere from 4 to 15 miles an hour on our wind speeds. Because a lot of times you get below 4, what happens when you get below 4 miles an hour? It's right, and it's typically called what? Light and variable. And so light and variable means light, and variable means 1 minute the fire's going this way, next minute it's going this way, then it's going this way, then it's going that way, and you're like, what in the world am I doing? I'm chasing this fire all the way around that thing, and it's not no fun. You want predicted, constant wind speeds and directions of what we're gonna do. And so that's what you're gonna be looking at. Humidities, temperatures, wind speeds, and what direction that you had planned on your prescription. Again, smoke management considerations, what kind of smoke issues do we got? Do we have highways? Do we have towns? So then we want to make plans of what we're going to do. Is it just, so a lot of times you may be limited to only one wind direction that you can burn a piece of ground from, because that's the only direction I can safely send smoke where it's not going to be a problem. You know, I may live right next to the highway, and so I'm on the south side of the highway. I got this place I want to burn. So that means I'm limited pretty much to some kind of north wind. So I'm gonna have to burn with a northerly wind direction. So that's the only thing. I can't burn south because I'm gonna put too much smoke on the highway, or I live towns right here, I can't do that. So that kind of things are things that we just need to think about with our smoke considerations. There's nothing in the law that states that. Typically what it says is smoke cannot create a traffic problem, or so, a visibility and traffic problem. Now, I can burn stuff 10 miles from the highway under certain conditions with heavy fuels, and I can cause a smoke problem 10 miles away. I can burn a mile away from the highway on certain conditions and certain days, and you'd never even know there was smoke on the highway. It all depends on what you're burning, the conditions of the day. So a lot of times what we're gonna have to do is deal with atmospheric conditions that cause for good smoke dispersion. Today and right now is not good smoke dispersion. I can guarantee you this smoke is gonna lay and it's not gonna go up very high, just because of the way it is. Because the atmosphere is pretty stable, we got high humidities right now, and it's not gonna do it. So on a day that's good and sunny, unstable atmosphere, you want smoke to get it up and get it out of there. That way it goes up high, and then the wind carries it and takes it on out. So those kind of days, I can burn closer to problematic areas and not have that problem. Now again, today we can wait, and I'm sure smoke dispersion conditions are gonna get better. Today may not be the greatest day of the week, but it's gonna get better the later in the day we go. But then it's gonna, probably about 4 o'clock, conditions are gonna get bad again. Just the way it is. So, and that's we can talk about smoke management for hours.
What kind of liability do you incur if your smoke dispersion is not good and you cause a traffic issue?
You're liable. It would be the same thing as if regardless. Yeah, it's your smoke. You own the smoke. And so that's the thing we need to be thinking about is that, and it's not difficult. It's not hard. And a lot of times too, it goes into what are we burning? How big an area are we burning? And that gets that. And part of it comes with experience. You know, the more you burn, the more you see and say, all right, yeah, I can burn this because it's not going to produce a whole lot of smoke. So if I'm just burning straight grass, you know, I mean, I can cause a problem with it, but for the most part, it's not going to create a whole lot of smoke. Now, if I'm burning leaf litter, I get over in the timber and I'm burning a bunch of leaf litter and it's a little bit moist, I'm going to put up a lot more smoke. That's going to be a bigger ig. So a lot of it depends on what we're doing and how things are upon that. So smoke can be a big issue, but again, it's not something to deter you. Again, we can manage it. We can manage it, and we can make it safe, and we can make it very less problematic with it. And also, one thing you want to do with that is just have a little bit of a contingency plan about, all right, what are we going to do about that? And also, one thing real quick before I shut up here, what we've got in this fire plan too, here on the back, which I think is a really good part of it, is a go, no-go checklist. And it's just a little checklist that you need right before you burn. You can go, you know, are my fire breaks prepared? Yes or no? You know, did I contact all my neighbors? Yes or no? Did I contact the fire department? Yes or no? And my prescriptions within that? Yes or no? And then one of the questions are smoke management goals and guidelines within what I think it's going to be? Yes or no? And so if you answer no to any of those, okay, we're not going to burn. We need to mitigate what we've got. So let's say we got the burn plan for today, just like today, we get everybody here and it's right now, and we're going, we can't burn because smoke conditions aren't right now. So what do we need? What would we do to mitigate the smoke right now? So, yeah, so we'd wait. So we could wait and see if it got better and start it later, or we may have to come back another day and say, hey guys, we cannot burn. So that's where a lot of times you manage things, and it makes things difficult, but that's one of the best learning opportunities on a fire is when you get people there to help you and you go, no, we're not going to burn today because we're not, everything's not right. We don't force it. Don't force that fire. You know, again, fire's not a one-time deal. You want you to keep burning, because that's where the fire becomes effective. We keep burning and we keep burning. So once you write one plan for one piece of property or one pasture you're going to burn, you've got that electronic. So the next time you go to burn it, you can just go in, copy, paste, change some dates, maybe change a little bit of stuff. You've already got it. So you continually got plans. And the main thing that a plan does also, it helps you plan this burnout, does that. But also it helps you, if something was to happen, it shows your due diligence that, hey, here's my plan. I had this planned out. This is what I did. And people look at us, okay, yeah, that's what you did.